Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. My name is Allan, and today we're here to talk about the Challenge All Stars 4, Episode 7. I'm joined by my lovely co host. We have the Southern Luke Muncie,
What's up, guys?
the Vermontian Zoe Trimboli.
Hi, everyone.
Apologies for not recapping last week's episode. We just didn't do it. We're back here this week, but we're just gonna jump into last week because we weren't here to recap it. We had a really epic Cara Maria, I think, political moment where she kept her star safe in the deliberation. Probably one of the most impressive plays Cara's. It's easily the most impressive political move Cara's ever done in her challenge career.
Watching it, I watched it on my treadmill and running, I could feel my face, my jaw dropping. This is a mastermind at work. It was pretty cool to see.
It was even more impressive that she was doing it against Cam. Because it's very rare that we see Cam try to orchestrate something and not get her way. Especially, I'm sorry, but this cast is kind of full of jabronis. So I would fully expect her to be able to just maneuver anything that she wants. But I think it's a testament to how feared Cara is in this house.
Yeah.
I tweeted it. It reminded me of when Giant Bananas, when everyone wanted him out of the house, yet he was still finding ways to keep himself out of elimination. Where she's just making deals with people literally on the spot in the deliberation right there.
You know, the last time we podcasted, Zoe and I both were I don't think she's playing the same game, and I still don't. But when I saw you tweet that, I agreed. It was a very Johnny Bananas-esque move because right off the bat, she guaranteed Avery she'd give her a star if she saved her. Who knows if she'd actually follow through with that? But in the moment, it works. So whatever.
I think she's just a much better bet than so many other people. Why would you not go with Cara when the opposite is appeasing Jasmine? Doesn't even make sense. It's you're better off risking that Cara doesn't follow through than trying to gain some sort of benefit from someone like Jasmine.
Yeah.
That's exactly what she also just straight up told Jay in that moment right there, where Jay's like, "Oh, I want to look out you for Jasmine as a friend," and she's like, "It's me or Jasmine right now." And it's once you put it into those clear words, it's much easier for people to make up their mind.
Yeah. And also, I get they have more time to think about it than we do in the 20 minutes leading up to the liberation. But to try to mastermind a plan where her star would be safe was so cool. Because the last time we podcasted, I was saying that maybe she'd made a bad move with how she played the star thing. But even as the middle ground, she had a plan where it couldn't get stolen despite her not being in the winning group. I thought it was really, really intelligent.
That's why she's in such a good position, because she's consistently performing well. So even if she doesn't win, she finds herself in a position where she has some control, which a lot of other people are not able to do that on a weekly basis. Most are not, frankly.
There was one other standout part of this episode, though, which I know Alan was probably about to say, but my one regret for us not podcasting last week is because of this moment, the elimination. When it was already settled to be, okay, it was Jasmine and Veronica that were thrown in, and Nicole decided she was going to take one of their spots and said she was going to take Jasmine's spot. And then out of nowhere, changed her mind, deep into her, already being changed, all these things, and they just let it happen. Do you think they would have let this happen had she taken Veronica's spot and then changed her mind to then put Veronica back down? Or do you think this is some favoritism for Veronica?
I think it's messy TV no matter what, and I think they'll let Nicole do it, whatever, either way, because it's just
fair.
And I couldn't help but think this is the episode Nicole could have come out looking like a winner. She was primed to not look like an idiot, and then she found a way to look like the idiot that she is. By nothing Veronica said to her was a lie. But one, the fact that she didn't know that Veronica and Cara are not on the same wavelength was weird. And just to have your mind change so quickly by a 2-minute conversation with someone, you just look so feeble-minded.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. It was funny to see how quickly she like flipped in this situation. Like you have to know that she'd been thinking about the entire time who she would take if it were a physical, if it were a mental, which she would not have gone in for. But like, it just didn't make sense to me. It was great TV, as you said, but it was ludicrous. Okay, and also challenge the story in here. Have Kara and Veronica ever been cool? Like, I'm thinking the Dirty 30 trilogy. Like, did they ever have positive interactions?
I don't really think so. I think at best friendly. I think Veronica respects Kara as a competitor, but that's mostly it.
Okay, fair.
Uh,
I'm just gonna add because she said, I think I said this last podcast. Veronica did a podcast with someone and did her challenge Mount Rushmore and included Kara, but I guess you can still think somebody's great without enjoying them as a human.
yeah, that's where like she's always had the respect where she's like, yeah, Kara's on the Rushmore. She's one of the best competitors she's ever seen, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they vibe like that. And I think Veronica is always like, even when she's not a big threat to win, she is always thinking strategically. And why not go for Kara? I will say people giving credit to Veronica for like masterminding this moment. I'm a big Veronica defender. I'm a huge like I think her 3 wins deserve way more credit than they get. Um, but she did nothing other than say 2 words, and Nicole is an idiot. Um, so I'm not giving Veronica credit for that moment. I'm just not, and I love Veronica. I'll give her so much credit for all the other moments. This was just Nicole being just a moron.
And even game aside, like if you're gonna go down, wouldn't you rather just face Jasmine in this anyways?
Yeah, I mean they're both guaranteed wins, which is I think like Zoe was mentioning, like that's why production let it happen because like Nicole's being either one of them. So like let's just make this blowout elimination into something a little bit more fun for TV.
Yeah. And
It
then
was
on to
just
episode 7.
it was
Yeah,
so funny.
we also had a also no, we had a star battle elimination between Kefla and Steve, where Steve was just really impressive. I know Kefla was hurt, but he had a lot of weight in Steve, and Steve just out wrestled him. Steve, because he already had a star, took Kefla's star, gave it to Ace, which played a part in this episode.
I forgot that happened. I am sad to see Kiefer go. Like he just brought good energy, and I've seen him on social media being like, "Bring me back, bring me back." I would be down for it.
Yeah, I'd be totally here for it. Not a waste of a spot. I operate on purely energy. Like that is how I was having this conversation over the weekend. Like that can just shift how I think of a person in general, even from afar. So I think that Kifla is the exact person All Stars was made for.
And might I add too, his conversation with his wife just like made my heart happy.
So cute.
Like I just remembered that happening last week. Yeah, wonderful. Need him back.
Love Kifla, love seeing him back. Steve, very impressive, really rising up the ranks. I mean, looking like a threat. Into the episode now though. And let's just jump into someone who hasn't been looking like a threat and is going through an identity crisis. It's Brad. Um, he mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, like last season, All Stars 3. He went on a crazy daily challenge win streak. He looked like the best competitor amongst one of the most stacked male casts we've ever seen. And now this season, he's just an absolute mess.
This whole episode made me a little bit sad for Brad, which I know we'll touch on later, but like he had that moment where he was like, everybody thinks I'm supposed to have this together and whatever. He's like, and I don't have it together. And like, I don't know, it just made me feel sad because I do like Brad and I know he's gone through some mental health stuff and he's got kids who I know that he loves very much. And like, I want him to be good for them and I want him to feel good about himself. And this just felt like a gut punch of he's not really enjoying his life so much. And that made me feel sad. Like, despite losing these challenges, he mentioned that, like, I don't have it together. And it made me feel weird.
Yeah, that's he was just like frazzled this entire episode. And I
Yeah.
can't help but wonder if like him looking at the rest of the cast, knowing how well he performed on All Stars, feeling this immense amount of pressure to just wipe the floor with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the male side, on paper, he should be right now. And it's just not happening. He definitely just was on edge the entire episode. Rightfully so. But I think I can't imagine when you have like the resume that Brad has, and all the people in the house pretty much are saying, I don't want Brad on my team. That's tough.
You know, a lot of people when they play sports and like play things at a highly competitive level, it ends at a certain age. For some people it ends when you're 17. For some people it ends when you're 22. Some people it just ends at different times. The challenge is a way for people whose like athletic careers kind of end early to feel like superstars, to feel like athletes. And after Brad's divorce, especially, like he came back to the show on Vendettas hoping to feel like a superhero again. And he kind of got that spark back in him. And he comes on the show, he knows he's one of the best. And so when he's not competing at a high level and his life also isn't going well, that really it's hard to it's hard to tackle. Just like because his worth, at least because you knew when he was coming on the show, would feel good, and now it's just really not.
Well, and it's got to be a gut punch, like you said, after being on All Stars 3. And, all season, the three of us were like, he's going to win this thing because he just was killing it. In our preseason discussion of them for this season, we thought he'd kill it. And also having the knowledge that after this season filmed, he then later went on to season 39 as a mercenary and looked just like smaller and like, I don't want to say sickly, but just not the Brad that we know. And then he lost pretty badly. Like, I feel like this is someone who since his return has kind of made this part of his personality, which can't blame him, but it's got to be an ego blow when his ego is already not really intact. So I don't know. It just made me feel sad because I like Brad.
Yeah, he seems like a shell of his former self, and then even more so when he came in as a mercenary, like really not there.
I just want the best for him because I think you could see through his very large eyes that he's got a good heart. He's a good human, I think.
Yeah.
He's got puppy dog energy. Like I just feel like he needs like someone to like settle him and center him and take him under his wing. I know he's a grown man, but he definitely just seems a little lost.
Yeah. If he's got anything going this season, it's he knows how to do a seductive towel. He's been doing that in many episodes. He's like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, yes, you do. But yeah, I wish the best for him.
We also saw someone else completely open up, and that was Ryan talking about his sobriety, where in this episode he had his 8 months sober. I thought it was a really good scene. I actually really appreciated it. What are you guys thoughts on the whole Ryan scene? He kind of talked about it throughout the entire episode, also.
Really cool, and I know that for some people these types of scenes, well, not really, but I know that these scenes can be possibly seen as throwaway scenes because they don't contribute to like anything. But this is the part of the challenge that I love. Like, I don't really like Tori Deal. Well, I hate Tori Deal, but even on Double something, whatever, she had lots of things about her mental health that just seemed really raw, and like it adds to the show and it adds to your understanding of a character, whether you like them or not. And I feel the same way about Ryan. Like, despite him not having the best season athletically, we got to see the house be kind of a place where he could feel solitude and not like he'd be tempted to stray. And I thought that was a cool piece to add to this person who otherwise is kind of lackluster.
Yeah, I mean, it just takes us back to those like real world roots of this show and reminds all the people watching that these are not characters on TV, that they are real people with lots of layers to them. I think anytime someone opens up about something like that on national television, I think it's great. Yeah. I think all it does is shine a light on something that people need either awareness of or need education on or just need to develop some empathy around. And I think it's really beautiful and brave when people make the choice to do that on TV. I think the stat that he shot out, like 91% of people don't get sober. It in their first how many attempts? It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I want to say it was over 5. But like good for him. What a testament to like his fortitude and his character. And it's again a good reminder that like you have to make that choice and do it for yourself. And if that is not your number one driving factor, in anything, but especially getting sober, that it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I do want to go on a semi-related tangent where, like, when Ryan was talking about this, I thought about the fact that he was best friends with Paula for many years, and they were roommates, and they used to work at I believe they even used to work at the same bar together. And Paula is someone who has not come back to the challenge since her win on Rivals 2, and people keep asking where is she going to pop up on All Stars. Paula's been sober for basically 10 years now. And that's essentially the reason she doesn't come back to the show and why she's distanced herself from it, where she likes her life now and she's moved past it, and she doesn't ever want to come back for that reason. And I respect that too. It's almost like two things we have going on where it's like I completely get that she doesn't want to ever come back to that cycle. And then you have Ryan here who still wants to do the show while sober. And it's really awesome to see that he's able to still fight temptation and experience life this way.
Well,
Yeah.
and he even made a point to say that, like, the people there on this All Stars cast were making it easy for him to stay sober. Even they're drinking, right? But it's not, I think, the focal point of the season. And I think they're very understanding and not pressuring him in any way. I think if someone with those struggles were to come on any iteration of the challenge, All Stars would be the one. Because I think everyone's just a grown up and understands.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Good serious talk. Let's move on to the Trivia Daily Challenge, which I will note from the moment they got to the Daily Challenge to the moment they left the Daily Challenge, it took up over 20 minutes of the episode. More than 50% of this episode was just on this trivia challenge, which I will note was definitely one of the worst trivia challenges we've ever gotten.
I don't like it being tied to a partner. I don't like there being heats. Just put them up there. Like, just put them up there. I know that Zoe said this before, some kind of still her thunder, but like some of the questions, the disparity between the difficulty between them was out of control.
I mean, and that always happens to some extent, but it bouncing between South Africa trivia, challenge trivia, and spelling basically being the only things that they were being. That's not what we love about trivia. We love seeing these people look dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give them like a soft toss, something that they should just crush out of the park. And I want to hear the dumbest possible thing come out of Nicole's mouth. And like, that's another thing. Nicole being paired with Jay, I was like, this is saving her from sounding so stupid. Like, I want everyone to get their chance to shine in the worst way during these challenges.
And some of those questions were just, no one could have gotten them correct. Like, I wish I could remember specifically, but I don't even know the word and how to spell it. But like, there was one that was so crazy.
Oh, I mean, even just asking people to spell Reykjavik and all these South African terms, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think one of the questions was the longest river in South Africa, which, like,
I have to study geography all the time for work. I have to study geography questions. I did not know that. I just straight up didn't even know that answer. Like, and
and you study it. Like,
I know Reykjavik is the northernmost capital in the world, and I don't know how to spell it. That's like it's just one of those. It's a ridiculous word to spell. They had to spell Versar, which is like VRSAR. It's like it's one of the crazier words. Like,
and Cara only missed it by a letter, mind you.
oh yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I misspelled it because I thought there was two A's at the end. I was just like,
I really like the trivia. This is All Stars related. I think it's All Stars 1 or maybe 2, but I remember like they asked John A, like, what women have won, like list 3 women that have won at least twice. And like, I like the challenge related. If it's gonna just be a mess like it was on here, I'd rather it just be challenge related because it's nostalgic for me, especially on All Stars. But this just seemed like a mixed bag of a bunch of crazy stuff. And even the challenge related ones, like they talk about a season and then relate it to a word or place that it was filmed, and it was just like, I don't care.
and so many of them had trick spellings as well, where they had Derek spell athlon, and it's like it has an E at the end, which
it was dumb.
And it took up 20 minutes of the episode, and it wasn't even trivia that was fun to watch where we could play along at home. It just
Did TJ cackle once?
There was one point that he did, but I think it was when somebody fell in the water, not when they said something dumb. So like, not the catwalk here to see or hear.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
Alan, they should hire you to write the trivia next time.
I
I'd have a
support.
lot of fun. There was also another sad moment where nobody wanted to pick Brad as a partner. So
Ooh.
ended up being Brad and Flora.
I will say the other interesting moment in that, I know a couple weeks ago we were talking about Laurel and Ryan and how we thought that they didn't get along. And then Ryan has this whole confessional about how like Laurel's exactly his vibe and he loves her. And I was like, this is really interesting.
Yeah. Time will tell.
I'm just watching this thinking to myself like these are confessionals they definitely made, but then they're also making another confessional where they just trash each other.
Can I also say this? Because I've been thinking it this whole time and didn't know the right place to say it. I've been thinking this whole time, dare I say, when's this going to pick up?
Next week.
And I'm not downing this season, but I just like when we said when this episode began or this podcast began, this is episode 7. I think there's just 11 episodes this season. So 4 more. One of them is definitely the final. Like feels like we've got a lot of people. Feels like we've had drama, but not as much as I was anticipating. I just feel very strange about this right now. I'm loving it, not this episode specifically, but like only 4 more? Just very weird to me.
That doesn't seem possible unless we get quite a few double eliminations or some DQs or something.
I hope people get purged for not having a gold star.
Yeah,
I
I
really
mean,
hope.
that would be totally appropriate.
You know, it doesn't help, Luke. The fact we had to wait over a year for this. That's
That's true. Well, you're right. And I think too, like we amped it so much, which again, the cast is phenomenal, specifically the women's side. But like now that it's here and there are episodes like this where like it's fun, it's whatever, but I left feeling bad for a couple people and that was about it. I need more. It's like I need the next episode already.
I think some good trivia questions could have spiced this entire episode up for us.
I agree. I agree.
some other factors that also just hurt it is we waited a year. The cast was hyping it up for a year online before it came out, talking about how it's one of the most dramatic seasons ever. And then third, so many of these cast members were not here while the season was airing because they were filming season 40. So there's really critical moments where we could be seeing people beefing online. They just weren't really here for.
Yeah, and also like I get hyped from seeing people's tweets, which God bless Zoe who is being spoiler free right now. But with season 40 filming, a lot of the attention that could have went to this has been directed on that. So that is true. Like I really feel like they could have aired this. Well, they should have aired this when all the people that went to film 40 were still here to talk about it. I don't know. But we'll see. Next episode, we'll talk about the end. If it looks like it's going to be enough and worth the wait.
Now, let's get into the losing group just real quick. I mean, some of these losers, again, it really just came down to what question did you get? What spelling question did you get? Like, did you get screwed out of something? The losers were Brad and Flora, Steve and Cam, Ryan and Laurel, and Adam and Avery.
Yeah, I know it's hard to call anyone a loser in this challenge. I mean, obviously there were some questions that were really easy that were missed, but none stick out honestly because I find all of it so unmemorable. Other than Nicole and Jay getting the word mission after all those other words, I remember being like, "Oh my god."
And then they also got some really hard ones too, so it evened out because I was ready to crack down on them, and then they ended up getting I think 3 hard ones in a row where I was like, okay, well it did somewhat even out, but it was just everything was so inconsistent this episode.
Alan or Zoe, could you explain to me why on the challenge they go down the line and then back as opposed to just looping back?
I mean, it's just like a snake draft. So
Yeah. Have you ever done a fantasy football draft, Luke?
Hell no.
So fantasy football draft is that if you get the last pick in the first round, you get the first pick in the second round. To wait, it evens out. Essentially, that's how they do it, back and forth.
Because otherwise, the person who goes first basically is screwed because you're getting all those chances before everyone else.
Okay, fair. I get that.
The challenge
Thank you.
sometimes does not do that, and they just go back and forth where the other person gets like one pick in a row, and they can just stack their teams. So when they actually do remember snake draft exists, it's always like, oh wow.
Oh, I see. Especially when there's a sabotage element. I get it.
Hmm.
Okay.
Like
Anytime I see someone doing like a mock draft of like Taylor Swift songs on TikTok, I'm always like, why is this not a snake draft? Because this is not fair.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was gonna say, like you mentioned, like Jury 30, especially, like that was the one they didn't snake, I think, and I think Hunter and Kayla just got screwed over completely.
Yeah.
In the middle group, we had Ace and Kara, Derek and Tina, Jay and Nicole, and Derek and Jay were just like really, especially because of the guys' day. They're like, damn it, like even though we didn't come in the bottom, like we're now screwed to where we don't have a chance for a star, and that's where the game has really evolved to this point where they're. I mean, Derek was really impressive in this challenge. Jay, I mean, was the only brain between him and Nicole, so they're competing at a high level, but they just have not had a shot, and again, they aren't in a position to even go in.
Yeah, Derek has. We said this the last time we filmed, but like, I'm impressed.
Derek deserved to win this challenge. He
Yeah.
individually performed the best out of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like Leroy doesn't win without Veronica.
It is fine. Like, are they might have to start throwing challenges. I've mentioned it week after week. Like, if you want to go in, you might have to start throwing because if you're not coming in first, and even if you come in first and you get the wrong elimination against the wrong opponents, who knows?
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, Leroy and Veronica got the win. Veronica, I mean, Carrie, this is the stuff that Veronica is good at. This is where her brain capacity comes in handy.
Yeah. Love her. You know, actually, like her energy on these shows is a little bit fun for me because she just doesn't care. And part of that, like, is so all-star to me. Like you had said earlier in this podcast, like people don't credit her 3 wins. I'm probably one of those people because I could say certain things about them. She doesn't care. She's a 3-time champ regardless, and she just shows up like she already knows that, and she's just like, whatever. If I go, I go. I'm here. I'm here. Me and Leroy won. Let's do the thing.
When we were talking about Brad earlier, I just kept thinking like, I wish he just showed up with Veronica's energy because I
Mhm.
think he'd perform so much better. Like, just take off the pressure, treat it like a vacation, have some fun. Not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. But if you want to keep me around for a long time, that's cool too.
Well, because I don't know if you picked up on this, either of you, but we know that Avery's with Adam now, and they've partnered up a few times. We've not seen anything romantic happen so far. There have been a lot of moments where we've seen Brad and Avery like outside tanning together, where she's like really been rooting for him and like been in his corner, being vocal for him. And part of me wonders if maybe that was an attraction, but he was just like so focused on the game he missed out on that. I don't know.
I think Avery is just like nice. I think that she's like a nice person because I feel like every time there's like a weird like off-screen moment, I also see her like following Adam around. I'm just wondering when we're gonna get that on screen, frankly.
Yeah.
So, you know it's happening. Like, where is it?
Yeah.
Avery's just kind of fallen into the background. I mean, she's consistently a solid competitor, but I don't really know. I really don't know much about her, even still being on the show for all these episodes.
I still like her. There's just something about like her
I do,
vibe.
I do too. I just want to know more. Like, I just don't. Like, I don't even know what her motive is other than just to be on the show, which I guess that's a good enough motive already. But I don't know.
I hate to say it, but like, what else could she give us? And I mean that in like just the nicest. She's been working at Hooters the past 20 years way. But like, what else could she give us? I would have liked for her to talk about her dog. I mean, she's been wearing the shirt, little throwback call to that. But like, I'm not so sure she has other things going on in her life, which no hate. Like people, it's okay to be content, but I'm not sure there's much content there.
What else do we got before we go into the back to the house? Anything? All right. Well, get back to the house. Everyone's eating pizza. Uh, Ace then decides to tell his story about the warrior or something that gave him the handsome knight who is himself a star, friend of Steve. And then he says, "Oh, but I'll give the star back to the winner between Brad and Adam in elimination," as kind of a way to joke to keep himself out of elimination. Because was he eligible? I mean, he wasn't even eligible, but he was just kind of trying to set up a little battle royale between them. Also, maybe trying to keep Steve safe in that moment. But it was some people laughed, some people didn't take it well, like Brad.
I thought it was funny. Great move to be speaking in jest, but like put a target on two people who like are threats, I assume.
I have such a hard time listening to Ace talk. I don't think Brad needed to freak out the way that he did, but it was very classic Brad freak out, so it was fine. Like, it was on brand for him. It's just personally, I have a hard time listening to Ace say any selection of words. It's just really hard for me. I think he's just boring and weird. Very weird.
Well, he's very much getting the Dario treatment, where people are having confessionals about how he does nothing and just lays on the couch and is there.
The
So
couch
that
he didn't have color of.
right. Yeah.
Competitively, Ace has just the worst. Like we talk about Veronica's personality, we talk about Brad's personality. Just don't be Ace's personality. He's like the person who's playing Monopoly and just walks away from the game midway through, just doesn't care. Like he's just. I never want to play a board game with Ace. He just.
I wish I could remember who the alternates were for this season, and I can't because it was years ago at this point. But there was probably somebody on location for a few weeks that could have taken his spot, but instead we got him.
I guess
He
Cyrus
just
because he was.
Oh, true. But I think there was 4 because there's been 4 in each season so far. But you're right.
he does nothing for me. So I think honestly I had a hard time even listening to his story because I can't.
Yeah.
Trying to find out who were alternates.
Here, I'll look. I'll look if you want me to. I can find it quickly. You know me.
Probably bookmarked somewhere.
It is. I've already got the list pulled up. Just
my God.
scrolling.
I mean, challenge fans historically have always really liked Ace, and it's always been one of those things that's kind of befuddled me a bit. I think he's a nice guy, but this season it's really just. I hope we don't ever have to see him again after this.
Yeah, fair. Because what's he really gonna do? Oh, there were just okay. Genesis and Cyrus were the only 2 on location, so no other guy. Oh, Chadwick is who I was thinking of that they thought was going to be on, but he did not get a final call. Whoever this guy is.
Yeah. That's like a throwback name. Would have been more interesting than Ace. I mean, Dario at this point would be more interesting than Ace.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like they didn't really access their all the options they had when it comes to the male side of this show.
Yeah. Maybe for All Stars 5 they will.
Brad reacts negatively, as we mentioned. Avery tries to calm him down. We see Silham also talking throughout the house of like Ryan does not want to go into elimination because he says he hurt his shoulder. How valid do you think he was in that moment? Do you think his shoulder was bad, or like, I'm not to call him a liar, but I think even Jay was saying like in his confessional, like you should be wanting to go into elimination. There aren't many opportunities left, and I think Ryan just kind of has a history of like kind of just never wanting to go into elimination.
I think Ryan was scared of all the guys in this on the table here.
I think so too, and I think it's a very Nani-esque move, and this is not an insult. She has said she was on live during COVID. Why would I volunteer to go in? This is when we had the skulls, all those things. Why would I volunteer to go in when I can guarantee myself to be on the TV show for X amount more weeks and get more exposure? Like if I go in and lose, whatever, I get paid a fee weekly to be there and people still see me for 4 more weeks, discussions around me. Why would I not? And I'm not saying that's what Ryan's doing, but like, if you're fearful you're going to leave, why not stay until you get purged if there's going to be a purge?
Yeah, I think he was looking at the guys he could go up against and was feeling really nervous and
Yeah.
just would rather not.
Which I get, but it's kind of why I don't like Ryan. Just to be frank, like because he has a long history of this show of like just letting whoever he thinks are the power players run the game, letting him exist as long as he can, and then just noping out before the end because they throw him in because he's weak, which he is historically a weak competitor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll never get over the island where he stole Kellyanne's key just to keep Kenny and Bananas and them happy, even though he was never going to be in their boat, never had any chance to win. And yeah, that's that. I'm always going to remember that when I think of Ryan.
Yeah, just I'm not a big fan.
Congrats on this variety, though. Yeah,
Yes, congrats on that.
genuinely. And we then go into the voting ceremony, which was, I think, really fun because we had Adam, who everyone was down to vote for, because Adam said, I want to go in, I want to get my star. Cool. But then it became a battle between uh, Brad and Ryan, where Derek was actively trying to save Ryan. And then there's also the idea of like, well, let's throw in Brad because he's the strongest player, set him up between him and Adam. And yeah, people were throwing votes back and forth, burning all over the place. I thought it was a great deliberation again.
Kara openly saying, I don't want Brad on my team because he can't do anything right now. And Tina saying she does want Brad on her team, but frankly, Tina, anyone's better than you, so you should want everyone on your team.
Okay, I defended her the other day. What is going on with her? Like, is she there?
Just like when she said, I hate voting, I was like, then why are you here? Like, it's just kind of the bare minimum.
It just doesn't make sense to me. And like, you've already pissed people off. Just vote.
Just like, stop. You're making it so much bigger than it has to be. People are going to have a reaction no matter how much you hem and haw and pretend like it's hard. Just vote. Who cares?
People in the house are just over her as well.
If you've kept up on social media, have you seen this, Allan?
I know that there's some Tina and Flora drama going on, but I haven't been fully keeping up. I
It
haven't been
just
clicking on the photos.
it just seems outlandish. And like, I'm not even going to talk about what Flora alleges, but it's just a whole lot. And it seems like Tina did not have many friends in the house.
It didn't even seem like her friends were her friends.
Well, Flora was alleging some really bad stuff, so that's why I'm not going to repeat it. But
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it right now, and but okay, bad.
I mean, just stuff with her husband and like, it just felt gross. And like, even if it did happen, not her place to post on social media. So like, yeah, dig in if you want to, just not here.
Won't be me.
Yeah.
Isn't Flora like best friends with Breath?
Yeah, and in her comment, she's like, I've always liked Veronica. I've never had a problem with her. I'm telling you, I wish I could find it. There is a video of Beth and Flora in somebody's kitchen talking badly about Veronica. But yeah, she is friends with Beth, and that kind of explains why this is.
That's a questionable mark of character.
And this is an off-topic thing, but I've been wanting to say it for weeks on some type of platform. Here it is. Beth is messy. Gamer posts spoilers on Instagram, but he puts like 2 pictures in front, so Instagram never updates the spoil for people in case they don't want to. Even on my personal account, where Beth is a verified account, she will pop up in the comment section just as you like scroll through. She always comments the person's name that's out. And I'm like, you're spoiling this for people. You're spoiling this. And you know that you are. You just want to be seen. Beth gets my nerves. Anyways, I'm moving on. She's messy. Her and that hit guitar player too. What's his name?
Oh, John Brennan. He was just replying under one of my tweets the other day, and I just talking to someone, and
he's a loser. He has me blocked on Twitter because he's a loser because he was tweeting the most out of control. Like, I think it was about Tammy having an abortion, and he was tweeting about that, and I tweeted him back like, "Why is this any of your concern?" And like, he went on this like strange I can't. He's a loser. And the fact that they're best friends, losers. I'm done. Okay.
Eventually, the votes come down to Ace, and Ace votes in Brad. They don't actually even show us Ace voting him in. They just show us by when they put the names up. Adam versus Brad, incredible matchup, and I think like for all the people in the stands, your chance of getting a star is much better now that Adam and Brad are facing each other.
Yeah.
For a later episode. So, congrats.
And
I didn't.
no, this was the elimination that Nicole had the option to do earlier.
It was the one with Tina and who went home early because they
Janelle. But
yeah.
I think Nicole was one of the winners. Was it
Nicole and Laurel?
Laurel, and they had the chance to go down and do it. Which at the time I was thinking, I don't know about this, but then once I actually saw it being played out, I was like, oh, not Nicole, but Laurel should have done it.
Yeah.
I think if she took Tina's spot, yeah. I think Janelle could have won that elimination against anyone there.
Well, I think Zoe's saying they would have had to
Yeah.
take Janelle's spot regardless to face Tina.
Oh, yeah.
They should have definitely done it against Tina.
Mm-hmm. Gosh,
Brad
what
fell
Janelle
apart
stayed.
again.
Yeah.
Would have been a great elimination for Janelle. Wow, thinking back, like
Leroy doesn't want to go in. I don't blame him. Like just because they'd seen it, but they've not seen it in play. Don't blame him.
yeah, let's explain the elimination also real quick. It's a little ramp up to giant human-sized video game controller. They then have to memorize a big code of like directions on the controllers. Put the entire code, then they hit the enter button to win. Whoever does it faster. But it's actually like a pretty long, elaborate pattern. I thought it was a fun.
Yeah, it's red arrows in every direction and green arrows in every direction. That's it.
Yeah.
A lot of cardio and then memory. That's what it comes down to.
I'm curious what would your strategy have been? Because Adam took a very methodical route, was doing literally 2 buttons at a time, which was interesting to me. What would you guys have done?
Honestly, don't know. I would have tried to do more than 2, but like.
Initially, I was thinking an entire row, which was only like 6 things, which I don't think is that hard.
Right.
But then I was like, I could see that getting tricky with the different colors. So I was like, I would just do color sets at a time. So like a lot of times it was like 3 reds, 2 greens, 4 reds, whatever. I would just do all the colors in a row. Because I think that would have been more efficient.
What's tough is that it's such a long code where if you fuck up one time, there is no backspace button. There's just no backspace button. And I would be like Brad in this elimination. Just straight up, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I would think that I could do 4 to 6, and then the moment I fuck up, because you could actually. That's the thing is you could know the code, but if you accidentally double tap it too or something like that, then you mess up. It's so easy to make a mistake, and I always have to do like things at work where I have to methodically count stuff, and I always fuck up and have to restart. And I'm just thinking about how like you just get too ahead of yourself. Adam played this perfectly.
Yeah, it reminds me, and I think Zoe mentioned this week's previous, the elimination of Cam and Kaylee versus Brad and Kyle, where like for the longest time it seemed like Brad and Kyle were going to win, and Cam and Kaylee were just going so slow. But to get it right the first time has such a benefit. And Brad spiraled like he did in that elimination on Final Reckoning as well.
Somebody said that he was hitting the start button every time he went up there. One of the people in the stand said that every time he went up there, he was hitting the start button.
Mm-hmm. Just not smart.
He said something about being an educator, and I was like, aren't you a substitute teacher? Just want to be clear, there's a difference.
And for a little bit, I thought that he was a math teacher, but I think he was a long-term substitute math teacher, which still just translates to substitute teacher. Which we need them, by the way. We need them.
Yeah, anyone can do it. Literally anyone. So that's what I mean. Like you can come in and be a sub in a school. Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Be a background check.
Yes.
it just sucks that he's a substitute teacher. Not for the kids, 'cause I'm sure he's a great substitute teacher. It just sucks that anyone could bring it up at any moment for when he fails, and I'm just like, it just it's always a rough look. Anyone could sign up for Uber too. If he was an Uber driver and he sucked in a driving challenge, would people bring that up? Probably, but again, it's not fair.
To be fair, he did bring it up.
He did bring it up twice.
He told us on whatever season that he was a DJ and a substitute teacher. Like, imagine going to math class in middle school and like, oh, there's DJ Braddy Brad, our substitute.
I know his DJ name.
Tell
What
me
is it?
after.
It's DJ Plan B.
No.
Oh, I mean, a play on his name being Brad, but also like, what a loser. Okay, sorry.
Oh. Well, he did lose the elimination to Adam. Adam just won pretty dominant. Adam just continues to kick ass on this season, and by sending home Brad, he is looking like one of the biggest threats to win on the men's side.
He was just a little engine that could in this elimination, like locked in. No one's gonna like rattle him. Doesn't matter how slow he's going. He was just so confident. It was like I find everything Adam does like cute. Like I just find him so endearing and sweet, and it was cute. The whole thing.
Yeah. And I liked his little like soundbite, which was surely filmed after the fact, but whatever, where he was like, it's been 18 years. I'm not leaving right now. And that contextualizes, like for Brad, it's been a year and a half since All Stars 3.
Yeah.
But for him, like there's so much stake in this, and I find myself rooting for him.
He also had the confessional after he got voted in where he's all like, this is my chance to rewrite my legacy. Like, people don't know who I am. I'm going to take down Brad. I'm going to show you that even though I haven't been on for like this many years, I'm still one of those top guys. And like, based on this elimination, like, he looked good.
Yeah.
He then takes Ace's star. No brainer to me. It's hard for me to imagine Ace getting a star back at any point, honestly, because I don't think he's gonna have the courage to go into elimination. Also, I don't know if Ace has ever won an elimination either.
He just has no affect. Like
None.
Whatever.
Want to talk about next week?
I do.
So let's first, I want to acknowledge this. If you didn't notice the spoilers in the trailer for next week, I think you're like not the brightest, because very clearly we saw the middle group deliberation. They showed us the full middle group deliberation, so you know who's in the middle group next week.
Right. Before that, we do get to see that during the daily, there's a confrontation between Nicole and Cara, where Nicole seems affected. Cara is just kind of like, bro, it's the game. I mean, she seems a little affected. I'm not going to like give her like complete grace, but she's just like, okay, it's the game, whatever. But this seems to effortlessly transition into this middle group and deliberation where Cara must say something to Laurel about Nicole. And Laurel, as we saw after episode 1, loses her absolute shit on Cara.
I know that this is why people like Laurel are cast on reality TV, but it's so hard for me to picture these people functioning in the real world when they do things like this, because I'm like, it's just so unhinged. I just, as a normal person, cannot even fathom getting to the point where I am towering over someone sitting down, being a 6 foot tall woman, towering over someone just as is, but this person is sitting down and you are bent, doubled over, feet red in the face, screaming at them at the top of your lungs. Like, the amount of unhinged that you have to be to do that is next level.
Mind you, the whole reason you're doing this is because you're defending your ex-girlfriend who's cheated on you multiple times, and just 2 episodes prior said it was a bad idea you're hanging out with her.
And who openly says on camera that the only reason they're doing this is because they enjoy attention. Like, someone who has shown time and time again to be an actually awful person. And the person you're screaming at is the person who was consoling you when she was
Right.
kicking you out of bed.
That's what gets me. I know they've had beef in the past, and like allegedly they've said on podcasts that like people have said that Laurel told people in the airport, do not talk to Cara, whatever. Things can mend. We've seen Cara try to be a good friend to Laurel, and then this is gonna happen. Like I can't. And I have a thought. I think that Laurel, as we have seen, is really trying to like be cool with Cam, which cool, do your thing. Like I like Cam too. But I think Laurel doesn't need to appease or like appeal to Cara at all. So like she wants to like put on a show maybe to like show Cam her loyalty next week. I'm interested to see how this all comes out. And it might just simply be that Cara says Nicole's bad for you and Laurel can't take someone being honest.
I cannot wait to see what actually created this whole thing.
When they remember they had the challenge documentary, they need a second part, which apparently they filmed one. So they need a third part that strictly focuses on Cara and Laurel. Take me through the entire thing, but I need a whole Montana section. I need that section where they interview Evelyn, who lived out there for a little bit with them too. I need to know what actually happened. I need all the stuff because there is so much lore behind this that we're missing. I'm excited for next week.
Yes.
Mess.
Guys, there's also just, I think, the Laurel screaming at Cara thing. There's a really interesting dynamic too, where between Cara and Laurel, this is truly the first time ever where Kara's status in the house as a competitor is just clearly higher than Laurel,
Yeah.
which for the longest time that was like unimaginable. And I think Laurel is kind of coming to grips with that right now.
I think Laurel is completely unraveled for so many reasons, that being one of them. And I think being in a pseudo relationship with someone who doesn't really give a shit about you does horrors to the psyche.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think she's crazy.
Yeah.
I will say, if next week's episode underwhelms, I will throw a brick at something. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna throw because this is what we're building up to. This is what we've been building up to. We're so like when we talked about this episode, you know, we talked about it, we had fun with it, but we're so excited for the potential drama next week, and we're just chasing it. We're just chasing it, and I want it to come eventually.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm so ready.
Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, follow us on Twitter, wherever you get this podcast. Have a great week, everyone. Please bring on the drama next week. Please bring it fully.